Hi guys, and welcome back to Lanwan Builds. You all loved the last two episodes of building Kingsworthy, so here we are back with a third. Kingsworthy's grown a lot since you last saw it, and it's only going to grow more and more as I really enjoy building it. So in this episode we'll be building two streets, Kingsgate Street, named after the Kingsgate that sits at the end, and Nelson Street, well, named after Nelson. The first house that we're going to be building is not a house at all, it's a gate, the Kingsgate. It's known as Kingsgate because in the world canon, Kingsworthy used to be the seat of the monarchy before it was moved, and one of the kings commissioned the gate not only to show off his wealth, but also in case there was a war coming, which never came, but it still stands at the old entrance to the town. The real life gate is the Bishop's Eye Gate in Wales. It's a 13th century Gothic gate, and it has this really imposing view over the marketplace, and I really wanted to replicate that feel in my build. It took quite a few tries to get right, but I'm really happy with the result. These two small Georgian buildings are based off two from Salisbury, but I changed them around a bit, and I made the greenish window frame colour to be birch, as there are no green trapdoors. There was a very difficult first floor bow window on the right one, but I left it for a bit, came back later and found a good solution. Here's the second gate of the video. The first one I tried came from Winchester, called Kingsgate, but I felt it didn't work with my Kingsgate, so I removed it and I changed it to this. The gate that finally takes up this spot also comes from Wales and is the Chaingate there. It's another Gothic gate, but I like it because it's quite a wide one with some nice Gothic spikes on top. I also managed to use some window techniques I learnt from when I built the cathedral on this gate, which is really cool. Next, it's time to build the rest of Kingsgate Street. Most of the buildings on this one are fillers, but not every building needs to be super huge and impressive, as in real life it's never like that, and you know me, I'm always trying to be as realistic as possible. For the first buildings on this street, due to the overhanging trees it was really hard to get angles to show off the builds from, but that's all part of having a narrow street, I guess. This is one of the noteworthy buildings on Kingsgate Street. It comes from Winchester and is this really nice creamy colour which is perfect for sandstone. It's very much a Palladian townhouse, which they do just look really nice in my opinion. After all these normal houses, we come across this really grand one at the end of the street. This is Ostend House and is based off one in Winchester. It's another Georgian one, who would have guessed it, and it reminds me a lot of some of the ones we built in the Cathedral Close a few episodes ago. It also has this really nice conservatory outside, which was inspired by one that Ozzy did in his town of Ostend. There's a card in the top right to take you to his channel where he does great videos, which is similar to my Kingsworthy ones. There will also be a link in the description to his channel as well, and if you like what I do then you should definitely check out his videos. He's a great builder. Next, it's on to Nelson Street, but first we have time for a medieval beauty. This one comes from Salisbury and is a very traditional timber framed building. I used a lot of fences and trapdoors on the build to create these thin timber lines, which is a technique I saw Kazakh use, who is another one of the builders on this server just like Ozzy. I love the way this building turned out and is definitely vying for top spot in my favourite building, Kingsworthy. So now we actually turn the corner onto Nelson Street. In this episode we will only be building one side of the street, because this episode is already pushing it on time, and both sides would mean either the video would be really long or that it would go too fast, and neither of those I really want to do. This house is from Salisbury, and is a beautiful Georgian house with this large bay window. Due to the narrow street, I had to set the house back a few blocks, otherwise the window wouldn't have left enough space for the pavement, which is not a good idea. It has this very graceful facade, and I really like how the bow window turned out on this one. My plan for this street was to make it very narrow, only just able to drive a car down it with very narrow pavement. This is because it's one of the oldest areas of town, and old streets are typically very narrow. Also, in my opinion, just having really narrow streets can make walking up them feel really immersive, which in the end is how I want Kingsworthy to feel. Nelson Street is actually based off Cannon Street in Winchester, with most of the buildings and the layout coming from there. It's a very Georgian street with the majority of the buildings being brick, which creates this really nice aesthetic when walking up it, which I really wanted to try and replicate somehow. So now onto the gardens. The gardens of these houses didn't take as long as the Dean's Alley ones, because they're just a lot smaller. There's this one large communal garden for a few of the houses, because if they all had individual gardens, they'd just be too small and it would just be unrealistic. In all, the gardens are a mixture, with some being allotment type gardens, others being lawns and others being formal gardens, just helping to add a bit of variety. So I hope you all enjoyed that one. It was quite long, I know, but one street just left the episode feeling too short, so instead I added half of another one in there. Before I cut to the cinematic, I just want to say that the growth of the channel has been insane recently, and I can't thank you guys enough for it. I wasn't going to do a 250 sub special, but instead I'm just going to do a little special in the form of a Q&A. Hopefully that will help you guys to get to know me a bit better and get a little insight into me as a person. So either put your questions in the comments or come over to my Instagram, link in the description, and shoot me a DM. I'll check every single one. Thanks so much for watching and making it to the end, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.